Right, 1948 Buick Gearbox. Just an assessment really to, I mean, I can see things wrong with it already, but it's just an assessment, have a look inside, see what's really bad and what isn't, you know?
Cool.
You love that thing, don't you? Right, so the torque ball, which we ordered the kit for anyway, the torque ball seal, what it is, it's not like a conventional car where you have a universal joint and a flexible prop shaft.
Yeah.
That bolts straight to torque tube, which is solid to the rear axle.
Okay.
So as the rear suspension goes up and down, gearbox is solid, that does that. Yeah?
Yeah.
And the universal joint is inside here, inside the torque ball. So we need to check that, because if that's shot, you might as well do it while you've got because you've got to put all the new seal kit in here, yeah? So we'll pop that off first, see what the UJ's like. Obviously I've taken all these bolts out already because they're what hold the back to forward shunt motion on the gearbox to the chassis, yeah?
Yeah.
For the whole engine and gearbox. So you've got 4 long and 2 short. Probably never ever been off this, I would have thought. Because not a thing you can do easily when it's in the car. Yeah, the trouble with torque balls is, like on a conventional car, you can take the prop shaft out. If you want to take the gearbox out to change the clutch, it's easy.
Yeah.
One of these, you've got to take the back axle out complete, or the whole engine and gearbox out.
Yeah.
Which is a
Not a 5-minute job then.
no. So if you're ever doing one, you want to make sure your clutch is in good condition. Right, so that's your outer. That's your seal, which is the later neoprene one, but it's been fitted incorrectly. Don't know whether they had a rubber torque. I think only 1939 had a rubber torque ball cover, which was a good idea. So that's your inner. Normally these are quite pitted and rusty where water's got in them and stuff. So you can see that line there, look. That's the angle of how it would sit when the car's just sitting there on its own with the weight on it. So you've got to clean all that up. Let's have a look at it. That's quite worn there, but let's have a look to see. Let's get the outer off. Or the inner off, I should say. That came off. And you have to put these in. I can't remember the orientation now. These holes have to be in a certain place. You know, wherever it mounts. I can't remember off the top of my head. It should be 9/16, that bolt in there, I think. Right, so up and down doesn't matter. Okay? It's just whether that's good. There's no play in that. Right, that feels alright. Right, so there's an oil seal on the end of there, which will need replacing. That's all looks good. This is a bit scored, but it's not reduced in size by the feel of it, you know? So what you got is spirals in there, look. See those in there?
Yeah.
They're to let oil run round that phosphor bronze bearing.
Yeah.
And the ones in here, as the gearbox rotates, so your normal direction of travel is that way on it. So it'll pick up that, in that start of that groove for the oil, yeah? Go round there and sling the oil back into the gearbox to stop it leaking, yeah? It's a basic labyrinth seal, but this is called your first motion shaft. That bearing has had it. I mean, they all have a certain amount of play in them, but that's not good. So you've got your gear shifter here. Okay, so you've got how as it works. The car's in neutral. If you just push that gear lever up and down,
Yeah.
that's second and third. Pull it towards you,
Yeah.
yeah, and go down, that's first gear.
Yeah.
Pull it towards you and go up, that's reverse. And then when you let it go, so basically you pull it towards you first gear, bang it out of first, it goes back down, then you can just push it straight up for third gear, straight down for second gear and then third gear. So that lever there, that's as you pull it towards you. As you pull that towards you, so that will be first or reverse. Right, that's first. So that is loose on there for some reason, so that will need to come off, look. It's either broken or worn out. So we'll have a quick look inside. But I would say all these sit on the other end of that is needle rollers inside.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's the main shaft or the counter shaft, but clearly there's something wrong with that, because you shouldn't have that much up and down movement at all.
So that was, could be too few needle rollers or worn needle rollers?
Possibly fallen out, because you can pull that straight out.
Yeah.
So they might have when they've assembled it, or they've just chewed themselves to death, but without having a look in there. Well, I say they're needle rollers. I've never actually done a 48 gearbox. All the earlier ones are needle rollers. I think they're basically the same design, you know. This will be rare because it's a right-hand drive one. All of that mechanism there would be on there.
Okay.
On the left-hand drive. Again, very easy thing to get apart. Nothing difficult about it at all. The only other thing I would get as well, this spring here should be what they call an over centre spring. May possibly be not strong enough, so I'd get the correct spring and check out the indent balls as well. Don't smell burnt. So you can see how the shifters work now, look. When that's locked into there, that will only shift that and that. Okay? Which goes on to your counter shaft gears, which are down underneath. Yeah?
Yeah.
That, when it's over there, slides that one. And these are what's called synchro meshes. You can't pull it right out. It has to come out that way, so you have to draw that lot off the back. That doesn't feel right to me. Right, so let's get the tail shaft off, which means getting that off of there. Got it. Thank you. Like so. That's a good nick. Right, spacer tube. Also, that thing there, look, that's been painted so much, it's not breathing anymore. That's your gearbox breather. So all that will do, if it's running, is just form loads and loads of bubbles in it and the oil isn't working. There you go. Right, so let's take him off from there. Now, how much gearbox oil am I going to lose? Right, so I've got to pop the tail shaft off. Right, so that's your main shaft, yeah? Hear that rumble?
Yeah.
That bearing's had it. So that's your back end out, okay?
Yeah.
Now you've got to remove all your shifter gears and parts to be able to get more of this out, yeah?
Yeah.
All they're held on with is those tapered screws, yeah? So they just fit down into a shaft on there. Normally these are wire lock, but obviously they don't deem it necessary on these. Just take, people, you can just loosen them, but I like to take them all the way out and you know where you're at then. Right, they're out. And then take your shafts out, okay? So they can bang out either way. That's all loose now. Those two are loose. So we've got to tap out that selector shaft. You've got springs in there, underneath there, with what's called an indent ball.
Yep.
That locates that shaft into it. bit that's chopped out of it. Straight in a grease pot.
Couldn't do that again if you try, could you?
Excellent. So that's where your indent ball goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be neutral, second, whichever way round it wants to work, you know? Now let's take that out. So that's your second, third shifter, I believe. That'll come out of there. He goes on there. Lines up with those two slots there when it goes together. You have to put that on the right one. That's the right one for the synchromesh to work. Right, so now you've got to get this lot out, yeah? So let's get that fork, that shaft out now. It's just got a cover plate on there to stop the oil coming out. Got it. Put my hand over it this time. Donk. So that selector shaft, let's take that out. So that is your, oh, that goes down onto that one. So that will slide that in and out of there, yeah? Okay. So now we've got to get this bad boy out. That wasn't tight anyway. End plug. Right, that. You see that, which does that motion. You can't get that shaft out because of that, so you've got to take the arm off the bottom, then it will let it spin round more. Right, so that's our arm off out of the way. That should then just push out of there. That will come out. Okay, so that's the 3 shifter shaft. Those 2 go on that one. The other 2 shifters forks should be the same. That's that and that, so you can't get those wrong. And we've got to take that split ring off of that bearing. Right, and that will let us push that first motion shaft out. Right, so that's your first motion shaft, yeah? So those needle rollers that are in there, which have now nicely all fallen out just to be bloody annoying. So, because that was so loose on there, see if I can get them back in. They've had it. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
So that bearing's gone. The rear bearing's gone. Those needle rollers need replacing. I can mic that up, but I'm sure it'll just be the bearing that's shot. It looks like it's a whole bearing. Oh, I see, it's a thrust washer. So you've got a thrust washer on the bottom, bearings, thrust washer, circlip. So what you'll probably find nowadays is they do a whole bearing that's sealed that will just drop in there instead of all the loose bits.
Yeah.
But those, I would say, are just completely worn out. Yeah, you can see them, they've got flat edges on them and stuff. So that's, the minute you start getting any motion in there, yeah, on the front bearing, it just transfers straight back. Because the only thing that's holding it all together is those 2 bearings. So anything in the middle that's flapping around, it's just damaging it all the time, you know. Right, the only other thing is end float on that. You get phosphor bronze washers either end. See that end float?
Yeah.
I don't know what the tolerance should be. I would say less than that. But it's only a washer either end. They're like $4 each or something. The way you got it apart, you might as well do it, you know. And again, on the reverse gear, you've got some play in that. So that's just a matter of reading a manual, making sure I've got the right washer. You just replace the washers. These don't wear out realistically, you know. So see, can you see that floating washer there?
Yeah.
So they just wear out, that's all it is. So you just buy new, I think they're $4 each or something, and you need 4 of them. There's probably an oil seal in here that's shot to shit, so we'll get one of them. It's all pennies. The only thing that's expensive is those bearings can be quite expensive. There's a rubber on there, look. So that is what your thrust bearing guide shaft goes on for your clutch. That's the basic principle of your gearbox. So you got that, slides in and out for a gear.
Yeah.
That slides in and out for reverse and first, I think it is. So that's the only moving parts in there. Earlier ones are a lot less complicated, but you don't have synchro meshes. These are only single stage synchros. So don't really want to take them apart, there's no reason for them. They're tapered with like bronze grooves in to hold oil. So as it goes in and slides it into gear, so it's a progressive into gear, not a solid chonk into gear. That lets that slide. No real notchiness on that one. Yes, they look like they're picking up okay. Right, so that rubber ring there, which is now like concrete, he goes on there, that holds, that forces up against that bearing face there, and that split ring stops the bearing coming back through the casing. So that fits like that, and that fits in the bell housing. So you put that in the bell housing, when you bolt it all together, that forces that bearing to stop it moving. Okay, as you can see, that's bent to shit, so we've got to straighten all that out.
Good dear.
Because that won't be holding that bearing in square or proper, no?
That's right.
So obviously with that all moving, going up and down, that bearing shot, those bearings shot, that being bent, that is never going to work properly or seal. That's what operates your clutch. So basically it just needs new gaskets, cleaning, reassembling properly, and that's it.
Not too bad then.
No, it's all alright I think.